Well, hello everyone. Hope you're doing well. I'm just down here on the beach doing a little bit of photography. Well, I haven't really pulled out my camera yet. I'm just kind of enjoying this beautiful sunset. Got the sunball right there, some dark clouds up above. I'm really hoping this pops with some color. And what's really cool is today I am going to use a brand new lens, which is my 12 to 24 millimeter lens. I'm really excited to see what kind of dramatic shots we can get with it. So I think I'm gonna pull out the gear, look for a nice shot in here and see if we can get some nice stuff. There it is, 12 to 24 millimeters. And what's really cool is I bought this little filter set that goes on the inside of the lens so that you don't have to put like a bulbous filter on the front element. Check this out. If I pull this off, I've got a filter on the end here. So I can do long exposures with this ND64 lens and not have to really worry about having a filter on the front element. So that'll be also really fun to test. I've never used it before, but I have high hopes. All right, so we're just in the stream here. I'll show you what this looks like. Look at how dramatic that looks. And I love the way the light is hitting the water here. I think I'm gonna switch to a vertical real quick. There we go. I can get the sun right on the horizon there. I'm gonna do f16, see if I can get a little bit of a sun star there. Yeah, that sun star is coming out. And then 0.6 of a second is going to be perfect for my shutter speed.
Alright, so here's my first test shot of that stream, and I thought there were a lot of really cool elements to this shot. The warm light on the water, that crisp sun star created by the 12 to 24 lens, and the pastel glow in the sky. Now the only thing I felt mixed about here was the composition. Initially when I took this shot, I felt like the image was pretty right heavy, with that hill that leads down into the sea stack. But the longer it's been, the more the shot's kind of grown on me, and a lot of that has to do with that brighter rock on the bottom left to help balance things out. But who knows, I might look at this in a week and think it's unbalanced again. For technical details, I had to do 3 exposures here to get all that detail for the sky, and to do this I changed my shutter speed by about 1 stop each time.
Damn it. Whoops, that didn't work. Let's try that again. We're gonna go a little bit closer here into another part of the stream. I like this little section right here. Ooh. Trying to get the composition right now. The light is already starting to pop. I always, when I'm doing these shots, take a variation of compositions. Some a little tighter, some a little wider. I can feel myself sinking. I'm doing like anywhere from f11 to f16 just so I can get as much in the foreground as in focus as possible, and I can also still see a little bit of that sun star, so not the worst thing to have that in the shot.
So this image was definitely more symmetrical than the previous one, but did come with its fair share of issues. I think the main one for me is the clutteriness of those rocks that lead in from the right side, and the fact that the water patterns aren't very distinctive on the left. I think the light and water from the previous shot worked much better. So what I thought might work for the next shot is getting right up against those little water patterns to see if I could really highlight them in the shot and make them a stronger element within the composition.
I found this little rock right in front here that might work well. Just need to find the right angle. I'm like thinking so much. If you look at this composition right here, you can see that the rock leads to the left side, but what I think I might want to do is go a little bit to the left so that the rock is actually on the right side of the composition. So you can see here as I move a little bit further over, suddenly we can create a different visual flow by having the viewer's eye travel from the bottom right into the left side of the frame. So I'm gonna try this real quick, see how it turns out.
So this image was definitely a step backwards from the previous two, and that happens from time to time where you get excited about something in field just to realize later on that it didn't work at all. Now the main reason this photo was unsuccessful, in my opinion, is that gigantic midground that doesn't really have any visual interest. It takes up a significant part of the photo, but doesn't really do much. Now that's due to the water flow not really having a lot of texture or shape to it, and not really leading you well out into the distance. Now I could have gotten much lower to minimize that midground, but then I would have had to focus stack the rock in the foreground, and overall it just wouldn't have made this water flow look any more interesting. Seascape photography takes a lot of trial and error and patience, and I rarely get it right on the first try. That's why it's really key to give yourself enough time to wander down the beach in search of different compositions. And even though I hadn't found exactly what I was looking for, there was an endless amount of perspectives to still try.
My butt is super wet, but it's all good.
So instead of getting really close to the water, I decided to try an angle where I stepped away from the stream and looked down on it from the top. And here's how that turned out. After shooting this one, I decided to get into the tides to see if I could get some wave motion.
All right, so here's my shot so far. You can see I'm doing 0.6 of a second, f11, ISO 100, and I'm just kind of waiting for the right wave to come in so that I can get a beautiful flow of the foreground leading out into the distance. That's a nice wave. Ooh, that's a good one too. I want to be careful to kind of watch the waves to make sure I'm not, getting hit. It's getting dark so quick. I need to bump my ISO a bit. So I'm going to bump to 200, maybe pull it down to 0.5 of a second. This is cool where the waves are kind of coming in from the left side, and then you've got some from the right as well. Let's see if we can get a good one here. Come on, I feel it. I feel a nice wave coming. Yep, that's a good one.
So I thought this image turned out really clean with this very symmetrical water flow. And even though the water was pushing in from the left side, there was some intersecting flows on the opposite side that helped to create this nice triangle shape. I ended up underexposing this scene a bit and then just bringing up my shadows in post instead of having to do any sort of exposure blending.
Incredible sunset, still got some glow. I think I'm gonna try and get a little bit closer. Not too much closer, but just enough to get a different water flow and get the sea stack to be a bit bigger. Look at this wave. Woo! Oh, there goes the pockets. Got water in the pockets. That's how you know you're having a good sunset evening. All right, so now we are super close. I'm really testing that 12mm lens. Look at that, so cool. I don't know if this composition will work or not, but I figure it was worth testing that 12mm. Right now I'm doing 0.6 of a second, but I did have to bump my ISO a little bit. Just gotta wait for the right wave here. The light in the sky is kind of fading, but it still looks really nice, and I just wanna see what we can do here. Oh, I see some pretty big waves coming. I may need to move. I may be in the wrong spot. I just keep holding on to the tripod. When you're shooting this type of stuff, your tripod kind of sinks. You just want to really press it down and hold it in place. When you're on a wide angle lens, you don't really have to worry about your hand being on the camera. You're not going to see that vibration like you would if you were shooting a telephoto frame. It's really cool how the waves kind of intersect in this section right here. Look at that, so cool.
So even though the sun already set and most of the burn had already faded off, I loved these final moments of pastel light out there. I took about 50 frames from this angle of the different water flow, and to my surprise, most of them just weren't dynamic enough to make a good composition. But I really liked this one where the water kind of swirled around and created these cool circular patterns. After taking this final shot, I decided to pack up my gear and then head home. So I'm home from the shoot in my office, and yeah, that was an amazing shoot. Incredible sunset to witness, and I had a lot of fun. But now it's time for the nightly ritual of cleaning off the camera gear. I get a lot of questions about this, so I'm going to walk you through it, And then I'll also share some of my brand new Seascape photography that I've taken over the last few months. So the first thing I usually do is clean off the tripods. And this is fairly straightforward. I pretty much just bring it in the shower. And I make sure to fully extend the legs so that I can get fresh water in any potential spots where salt water may have hit so that you don't get salt corrosion, because over time, that's going to destroy your tripod. It's also a good idea to undo the latches or knobs and make sure some fresh water gets in there as well. And then to clean off the camera and the front element, I usually use these Zeiss wipes, these little pre-moistened alcohol wipes. They're amazing. I've been using these for many years. I usually just take my wipe here, do some circular motions, and then I'll usually wipe down the body as well. If any salt water did hit your camera, it's really important you clean that off. So you can use these alcohol wipes, or you can go ahead and put a little bit of fresh water on a microfiber cloth and then just kind of wipe your camera down. That's going to help a lot. So I had a blast using this 12-24 lens, and I'm definitely going to be taking this on a lot more adventures. It is extremely wide, almost a little too wide in certain situations. When I'm at 24, I found myself wanting to zoom in just a little bit further, but I think that could be pretty easily dealt with a minor crop in post. And these little inlet filters were really fun to use. Definitely made shooting these seascapes a lot easier to get those long exposures. The only slight downside to these is they're a little annoying to install and to take out. And 100%, I'm going to lose these or I'm going to break them. I can see it happening very soon. I'm going to have to purchase like a replacement kit. They're just so small that like I'm going to drop one in the ocean, or I'm going to drop one on a rock, or I'm just going to end up losing them. All right, and now let me show you some new stuff I've been working on. Here's a photo I took last month with some monstrous waves on the coast. It was about 40 to 50 mile per hour winds while shooting this, which created a ton of spray coming off the waves. That wind also caused a lot of haze out there in the distance, which just got stronger and stronger during sunset. Here's another variation that I took after, and you can see just how much stronger that haze got. I kind of like the atmosphere it created in the distance, and I really liked the bird flying in from the left side. And here's something completely different. This one's an abstract shot of these beautiful rock patterns on the coast. And what's funny about this image is it looks like massive waves breaking on the shore, almost like a cave painting depicting the last two photos. So here's a shot I took a few months ago on the coast with this beautiful rainbow sundog. I was really lucky to witness this, especially around the spot where I was standing, and I tried to align it the best I could with these flowing tides. Since I was facing directly into the sun, I had to do a bit of exposure bracketing here, so I took a few darker images for the sunball and then a brighter image for the water flow. Shooting coastal scenes is one of my favorite things to do, and I don't think I could ever get sick of it. Every single time I visit the beach, I always find something a little different, no matter how many times I've visited the same location. Whether it's the tide shifting things around, or a storm that rolls in and completely changes the look of the beach, or even unique conditions that I never thought I would ever see. And even if I don't get a shot, it's still nice to just wander around. And this goes for pretty much any photo location. So if you're sitting there having that internal debate of if you should stay or go, I would say you should definitely go. With that, I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to the channel for more. And you can check out the workshop page on my website to learn more from me. Thanks so much for watching the video, and I'll catch you in the next one.